Hey, I'm Dr. Steve Ranicki with Dr. Ranicki's Creating Wellness Center, and I want to answer the question for you about did you sleep wrong or did you sleep funny? Patients come into me all the time saying, oh, I think I must have slept wrong last night, or they say they must have slept funny. So I assume when they say they must have slept funny, they mean they had like clown shoes on, a red nose, something like that. But the reality is that it's almost never that you slept wrong or slept funny. Now, if you wake up and your pillow's on the floor and your head's hanging off the end of the bed and your feet are up in the air, then okay, fine. You slept wrong, and that's the problem. But if on the other hand, what you really mean is, I went to bed feeling fine, but I woke up hurting, and I can't think of any reason why I should be hurting, then let me help you out with that. Imagine for a moment if you started exercising for the first time in a long time. You would expect to get sore from that. You would expect to be stiff. And when are you going to get that soreness and that stiffness? Is it going to be while you're actively working out? No, doesn't happen that fast. Is it going to be later that same day? Probably not that fast either. When are you going to feel that soreness and stiffness? When you wake up the next morning, or maybe even the morning after that. Sometimes it takes that long. So you went to bed feeling fine, and then you woke up in the morning and you try to move and you go, what the heck was that? And all of a sudden right away your mind makes the connection that, oh yeah, it's because I worked out yesterday. And so it's really obvious in that situation that the reason you're hurting now is not because you slept wrong or slept funny, but because you did something yesterday, exercise for the first time in a long time, that has caused the pain that you're experiencing now. But very, very often people have a similar type of thing happen where they did something throughout the day or at one point earlier in the day that is caused them some bit of injury and problem, yet it didn't start hurting while they were doing it. It didn't start hurting later that same day. They went to bed feeling fine, but some point in the middle of the night, it finally set in, and they didn't wake up from that right then and there, but when they do wake up in the morning, all of a sudden they're hurting. And the reason I make a point out of this is that if we just keep blaming everything on sleeping wrong or sleeping funny, and we never stop to think about what was it that we did the day prior or the day prior to that, that is the reason we're feeling what we're feeling now, it gets real hard to change. It gets real hard to realize that maybe I shouldn't do that or do that way anymore, when instead we just keep blaming it on this mythical, funny sleeping, wrong sleeping thing that we don't really have much ability to change. So think about things like, did you vacuum the house? And instead of doing it the right way, where you scoot the coffee table out of the way so that you can vacuum carefully where the coffee table used to be, did you instead do this thing where you like get down into this real funny, awkward position here and bend over and twist at the same time while slinging this 10-pound vacuum back and forth? Or was it that you tried to help somebody out with something and it was just a bit too heavy or something like that? Was there something that you're doing that used your body in a way that wasn't good for it, that now your body is trying to let you know, but because it didn't hurt in that moment when it happened, you didn't make the connection easily? So this is what I coach my patients on, to not just chalk it up to something you can't do anything about, but instead look for the real problem, the real cause of the issue. That may be something you can do something about, or at a minimum, it might help your chiropractor to find out what we can do differently to make it to where you can now be able to do that thing that maybe you feel you ought to be able to do. That shouldn't be a problem for me to do this. But once I know what it is that you're doing that's causing that, then we can find a different way to care for you, that doing that doesn't wind up messing you up and hurting you anymore. Okay? So don't focus on how you slept, unless again, like I said, you're waking up half on the bed, half off the bed, or something like that. But focus on what did you do the day prior or the day prior to that. And I realize you may say, I didn't do anything different or out of the ordinary. Don't worry about that. It may not be different or out of the ordinary, but it may be something where you could say that, you know what, I'm starting to notice a pattern that every time I stand there and do dishes for more than 30 minutes, that's when I start to hurt. Standing there and doing dishes isn't that out of the ordinary, but it is a little bit of a problem in the way you have to kind of be bent over the sink just a little bit. It's not the sort of thing where you can like scoot up underneath of the sink and have better body mechanics there. You're going to be bending, you're going to be reaching and stretching, and then like most people do, instead of turning to face the dishwasher to put the dish down in the dishwasher and squatting with your knees, most people are just going to do this kind of thing and twist and bend about 37 times, putting every glass and every plate that they own into the dishwasher. All right, so I hope that gets you on a path to thinking a little bit more about why you're experiencing what you're experiencing. And even if after looking at all of those kinds of factors, you still can't think of any reason why you're experiencing what you are, then I suggest that you probably need to get yourself checked out by a chiropractor. And if we can help, please let us know. So again, thanks for your time and attention. Please leave any comments or questions below. And I'm Dr. Ranicki with Dr. Ranicki's Creating Wellness Center in Savannah, Georgia. Thank you.